Fast Eddie Castro, number 14, SoCal Racer. XSRA Speedway TV. Run it!
All right. Hey, how are you doing? Welcome to episode 8 of Speedway Chat Live, right here on XSRA TV's YouTube channel and Facebook page. You know, XSRA stands for Extreme Speedway Racing Action. Thanks for joining me, Speedway fans. I'm your host, Ken McKinney, your XSRA Speedway TV, XSRA TV Speedway producer. On this episode, we're going to chat with Steve Evans about the 2020 Speedway. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my music? There. We're going to chat with Steve Evans. You know Steve Evans. He's a promoter out at Kern County Raceway Park and Paris Speedway. We're going to chat about the 2022 Speedway of Nations, where count it, 3 of our American racers on Team USA will be racing the world at Vorgens, Denmark, this July 27th through the 30th. It's going to be off the hook. That's next week, folks. We're going to be racing the world. We'll also chat with Dillon Ruml, who's having a great season with the newly formed Oxford Cheetahs at Oxford, England. Yes, he's in Oxford, England, and we'll hear how he's doing. Then we're going to chat with Lewis Hughes. Let me add that to the stream. Lewis Hughes and Max Ruml. Lewis Hughes has put together his own Speedway team with Max Ruml as the lead pilot. And, you know, Max has been tearing it up at the tracks lately this year. But his secret weapons are the Lewis Hughes bikes. We all know that Lewis Hughes has been working really hard to develop a team, and now he's got it. So Max will also be in the chat, so you get to hear about him, about his 2022 season so far. Lastly, we'll round out this podcast with a new feature titled as the Sprocket Turns with Fast Eddie Castro. Yeah, you know, Fast Eddie has been around a long time. He has some great stories. And so I thought, you know, everyone should hear some of them. It's a mixture of legends, lies, and some downright gossip. Who knows? You know, it should be fun. So stick around for all of that and more on this episode of Speedway Chat Live. But before we get going, I want you to subscribe to this channel. Be sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow us, follow me, follow everything in Speedway on the Facebook page. If you've been receiving follow requests from me from the page, it's because Facebook changed their algorithm. You know, you probably noticed it already. So I've been seeing a bunch of new people coming in, and those that have liked the page or followed the page, and those who haven't. So if you've gotten that, please click the follow so you can follow what I post on XSRA TV. You know, you don't want to follow my personal page. It's just cars, kittens, songs. It's nothing really interesting. Not like extreme speedway racing action. All right, so let's get into it. All right. Yes. Like I said, this is episode 8, and we're going to be talking to Lewis. We're going to hear from Steve Evans, and we're also going to hear from Dillon Ruml, who's all the way across the pond over there in Oxford, England, of all places. All right. But before that, let's get into some Speedway news. Some Speedway news. You know, everything that I'm going to tell you about right now, you can find on the SpeedwayBikes.com. SpeedwayBikes.com is hosted by R.C. Jones, and you can find out about all things Speedway, races, race reports, racer biographies, and all kinds of stuff. It's a great site. I recommend everybody visit it for everything Speedway. Okay, Speedway fans, let's get into it. You know, I'm going to try something a little bit different here. But last July 25th, last June 25th, if you were anywhere, you had to be out at Bakersfield. Let me see if I can do this right here. Where's that? I'm going to add this to the stream. Come on, baby. Oh, it's black. What is that? Anyway, if you were anywhere, you were at round 1 of the AMA Speedway National Championships out at Kern County Raceway Park. They were off the hook. Held at Kern County Raceway Park in Bakersfield, promoted by Steve Evans and Larry Collins. The track was in great shape, and the racing was even better than that. The winner of round 1 was Max Ruml. Second was Billy Gennaro, and third was Louis Merceroli, who's having a fantastic time up north up there. But the points are what matters. And Louis Merceroli is on, and Billy Gennaro is on top of the points with 19 points overall, and followed by Max, and then as well followed by Gino Manzares, the G-Man, and then you've got Chris Kerr, Louis Merceroli. They're in the back there. Aaron Fox has got 14 points. How could I leave him out of that? But that is where all the racing is, folks. You definitely want to be able to get out there and see some racing one time. A bunch of times. It was 105 degrees at the start of the first heat. It was pretty hot. The racing was off the hook. Let me show you something here. I've got something in here. Let me remove that and let me add here. I'm going to share a video over here. Let me go. National Championships. Oh, that's the ad. Speedway Camp. No, that's not that. Let me go over here. I got to find it, folks. I'm the only one doing this. I'm my own tech too, but you can hang on because this is great stuff. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Speedway Productions. I'm in the wrong folder. Gosh, maybe that music, that Speedway stuff there is bothering me. All right, stream vids. Oh boy, where did I put that? AMA National Championship. There we go. About 49 seconds.
Don't miss all the action from round 1 of the AMA Speedway National Championships. Recorded, edited, and posted on XSRA.TV video on demand. Now you can watch all the heats and events from one of the biggest Speedway events of the year.
That's not what I wanted to show, but it is available for video on demand on XSRA.TV.
From the dirt track at Kern County Raceway Park in Bakersfield, California. That's XSRA.TV. Extreme Speedway racing action, video on demand. Bring it home to you on your computer, laptop, cell phone, or TV. Round 1 of the AMA Speedway National Championship. If you can't make it to the track, watch the most exciting sport in the world on XSRA.TV, video on demand.
And it's basically the way we watch things these days. I was there. It was pretty hot. The racing was hotter. My video camera failed a few times. I had to put it in the car to next to the air conditioning just so it would cool down and work. But it's never done that at Paris, I'll tell you, even as hot as it's gotten down out there. But the camera did work, and I did my job, and I recorded everything. The whole event is on XSRA.TV video on demand from beginning to end, fully edited with narration from me. It's a great way to see how freaking awesome the event was. And Bakersfield is kind of hard to get to for some people, so it's available for you. So check it out on XSRA.TV. And if you support my work, I really, really appreciate it. It's really a lot of work to do this stuff. Although I really like it, it is work, and I really enjoy it. So let's get into some other news here. As you know, Industry Hills has reopened and the racing has been great. The fans out there have been totally enjoying the racing going on. And Max has been dominating the field since he's come back from racing at the SVG qualifiers. But they've got a full schedule of events. And speaking of a full schedule of events, this Saturday on the 23rd, where's all my artwork? Well, anyway, this Saturday on the 23rd will be the 45th California State Championship. All the best racers in California will be there, and it's going to be a fantastic event. For more information, visit them at industryhillsspeedway.com. And I want to throw a personal invite to Kurt Markham out there. If anybody knows Kurt Markham, I spoke to him today. He's being wishy-washy about getting out there. I told him I'd ask Sean McConnell. Sean McConnell, give Kurt Markham a call and tell him to get his ass to the track. He misses everybody. It'd be a great time for him to see everybody racing out there. Also, the racing at Auburn's Fast Fridays has been off the hook. Last weekend they held their, on July 15th, was their 31st event of the classic grudge match, the North versus South grudge match event. It was the North, headed by Billy Gennaro. They outscored Max Ruml and the boys. Let me get a picture up there. Ouch. Ooh, that's tough. They outscored the South 72-66. It was some fantastic racing. I talked to Dave out there. He was telling me about how Gino couldn't get around Billy and Louis Marceroli, and had he been able to do that, it would have evened up the points, but they had kind of teamed him out. But geez, that's racing, folks. But they had a great time out there. And also, back on June 17th, Fast Fridays for Legends Night, they recognized Harlan Pappy Bast and his family's contributions to American Speedway. Harlan Bass is a motorcycle racer since back in the 1950s, and he was a speedway racer back in the 1960s with his brother. He's also the father of Bart Bast, who's been the big track champion out there at Fast Fridays. He's a multi-winning track champion himself at Fast Fridays. He's also the uncle of the famous Mike and Steve Bass brothers, the Bass brothers who dominated American Speedway circuit in the 1970s. So I want to congratulate Harlan Bass and the stories he could tell, I bet. Maybe I could get him on as a Sprocket Turns. But I sure would like to meet him the next time I go up north. And speaking of racing out at Fast Fridays, the points they have out there, they've got this really cool point system going on. And it looks like Louis Marceroli is beating Billy Gennaro by about 3 points, only 3 points. Bart Bast, who's been the leader of that track for years, he's stepped behind. He's lost a step there. I think it's just because Billy has been very fast, and Louis Marceroli has just been very fast too. Blake Varella's been kicking ass. And then you got those Todd fellows, the Todd brothers. They are just been throwing their own selves in this mix. They're a monkey wrench themselves. Gino Manzares is in 7th place as in track points up there. So I want to give Gino a great congratulations right there. And keep up the good work, guys. We'll see how the points continue to go. I think a point system is really interesting. It gives you a really good reason to see what the racing is all about at a track, and also follow the racers as they try to beat each other for the points to see who would be the dominator of the track. I'd like to see that happen a little bit more at some of the local tracks, and maybe they will. Maybe they can put that together. If not, I'll try to put something together myself. But hell, well, I'm just a broadcaster and stuff. I'd rather the tracks do that themselves. But let's see what else I got here. I got Costa Mesa Speedway. Costa Mesa is still dark right now. They're still dark. They've got the fair going on out there. I actually went to the track last Friday for the fair, actually, but to see a concert. But I couldn't go there without wondering what they did to the track, and I took a picture. Look what they did to the track. They got that meat stack right there, and they turned it into a beer hall, beer and wine festival out there. It's terrible. I feel like talking like like the guy in The Godfather. Look what they did to my track. Look how they murdered the track. Anyway, the annual Fair Derby will come up on August 11th. It's going to be a hot night for new fans as well. Visit Costa Mesa Speedway for more information. They're doing some great stuff out there, and we're just basically, it's great for me to just go 20 minutes down the road and see some fantastic racing. I know there's a lot of Speedway fans that feel the same way. All right, well, out and the East. Can't talk about Speedway all around America if I don't talk about the East Coast. The East Coast Champion Speedway in New York last June 25th, they ran their Hurricane Hank Bassett Cup. The winner of the main event was Adam Mitty. I don't know who this guy is. I sure would like to get to know some of these guys. But first place for the Hurricane Hank Bassett Cup was Adam Mitty. Second place was Spencer Porataro. And third place was Casey Donhold. And I'm sure the racing out there is off the hook. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit about what had, let's see. I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to move something from the stream. Let's move that. Let's remove this from the studio. Let's remove this from the studio. And let's add another video. If you haven't heard, and I'm sure you have, well, maybe you have, there's been a couple races that have gone out to a boot camp out in Poland. Let's see, where is that? Okay. Yeah, that's an E. Castro. Speedway, Dillon Ruml. Gosh dang it. Let me put Ruml back in there. All right, now I want to welcome. I'm a little bit too fast on that. Let me find that promo because you've got to see this. I'm a little nervous, but hey, what the heck? We're talking Speedway, so I know the riders, they get nervous. I get nervous too, putting this stuff together. Let's see, Speedway promo, Speedway camp. Let's find a Speedway camp right here. And I'm going to put it up. Boom. No, not that. I already forget that. No. Let me try one more time. Remove this from the studio, and I share the video file of camp. There you go. No, that's not what I want. Ken, wake up. All right. Please bear with me. I spent time doing this today. I thought I was going to get it all right. No, I don't want the ad. Here's the Speedway camp. All right. If you haven't heard, there's been on social media posts from Wilbur Hancock and Alex Martin. There's a Speedway Estralang Camp 2022 in Poland this week. Two of our racers, Wilbur Hancock and Alex Martin, have been over there getting some extreme Speedway training with the pros, as well as our own four-time world Speedway champion, Greg Hancock. From the looks of it, there are young racers from all over the world having a good time, and they're getting a chance to see what all the fuss is about. The big leagues, folks, the big leagues of Speedway is racing in Europe. Well, I hate to see some of our best racers travel overseas. If they want to be world champions like Greg Hancock and others, Billy Hamill, then they have to go over there. Sudden Sam or Malenko, then that's what they have to do. Check out more of this information on YouTube. It's the PGE Estralinga. It's on YouTube. And it's really fantastic stuff. These guys are learning a lot of stuff. See, there's Greg. And they're really putting these guys through their paces. But I've been following some of the other circuits. Did you know that there's Speedway racing in Argentina? Well, they have a good program down there, and they run in their summer, which is our winter. And it'd be a great way to have some of our guys go down south. Maybe they can come race up here up north. But it's a wonderful thing. One of their guys down there, Alex Acuna, is racing down there and learning how to be a better Speedway rider. Maybe someday I can get those guys on the Speedway chat and we can talk to them about what is going on in Argentinian Speedway. They got bigger tracks, and they got a heck of a program down there. So I say let's promote Speedway all over the world, including Australia, Down Under, and well, we know it's all in Europe as well. And lastly, I just saw on a Facebook post from Kelly Inman that Greg Hancock has been inducted into the 2022 class of the Motorcycle Hall of Fame in Pickerington, Ohio. Yeah, this is fantastic news. Speedway is being recognized in the Motorcycle Hall of Fame. I'll try to get you some more information on that in a later podcast. I'll try to even get Greg on the air to do something with us. It would be a great honor. Well, there's some Speedway news for you. And that's that, you know, everything that I've been telling you about, you can actually find on RC Jones's SpeedwayBikes.com. I recommend you go there and find out about everything that is Speedway. All right. So with that said, let's get into our featured track with our favorite Brit. And I'm going to have to add that to the stream. Let's see. I'm gonna get this out of here. I'm gonna bring Steve Evans. I recorded an interview with Steve last Saturday. Right now, he's on his way over. Well, he actually went to England with his kids, and he actually got a chance to see Dillon race today, which is great. I mean, if you're going to be able to go overseas, you might as well go and check out one of our racers, right? And let's see, that's E. Castro. Where did Steven go? Esteban. Well, let me see. Okay, I am a clusterfuck right now. I can't freaking pull it out, but I'm working on it. All right, stream vids. Let's go with Steve in the Speedway of Nations. Here we go. Hey, Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Ken. How are you doing?
Oh, very good, very good. Got a lot of Speedway happening. You know, we're got all the tracks running, and we just had the big North-South tournament, and the North took it this year. Congratulations to the North. But we've got some interesting news. I want to along with that, I want to congratulate you on a fantastic running of round one of the national championships out there at Kern County Raceway Park.
Yeah, it was a very good event. We certainly decided to roll our dice on it, and we had a great track, a very decent spectator turnout, and a lot of good support. Mike Helm needs a lot of commendation because he really bridge the gap to make it happen. The race was a memorial for his dad, Digger, and Mike was certainly activating a lot of old motorcycling friends and contacts to be our secret weapon in the event.
Well, it was a fantastic event, and I know that there were a lot of people out there, but for those who could not go, it's available on xsra.tv, video on demand. The whole event's been edited down to just the races, the beginning, the introduction with the riders, and then the whole event with the award ceremony at the end. So I invite everybody to go out there. Did you get a chance to watch that? Well, you were at the event.
No, but I might watch it tonight. I need something to do.
Take a look at it. It's a great way to relive that event and to go on to round two. I also want to congratulate you on your article here, or the article on you, the Star Spangled Bret and Speedway Star, and congratulate you on your appointment as the Team USA manager. Congratulations.
Thank you. I like the title. That's kind of funny. And yeah, this is, I mean, it isn't so much as a fanfare. It's more of an evolution because I've been involved with the team for 10 years.
Yes.
And I've worked with some fantastic previous managers, and it naturally evolved into this. Both of the last two managers personally contacted me and said, you know, you should get the job. So if I've got the endorsement of those riding and managerial greats, I'll take it.
With regard to this article here, the about Team USA, you guys are going to be going to you have a squad for Team USA. Tell us a little bit about that. And I want to congratulate you on that as well.
Yeah, so we have 5 riders named to our squad. This week, we have to take the 5 down to 3. And, you know, the thing that's different this year is there is no under 21 rider on the team,
right.
which for us and for a lot of other countries gives more strategical options. So the 5 will become 3. Per the rule book, it's 2 plus 1 reserve. But from my viewpoint, it's a team of 3. It's very likely that all 3 will feature and get plenty of track action. And it's my job with them to help figure out, you know, which combination of the 3 is going to bring home the most points and then put us into a position where we can qualify for our first World Championship team final in over 20 years.
Right. And if you are unfamiliar with the Speedway of Nations, there's some video on my YouTube channel. Let's go to a little clip of that right now so you can see what it's about.
So this is how the 2021 Speedway of Nations pans out over 2 race weekends. We have semi-finals 1 and 2 here in the city of Daugavpils, Latvia, after which we travel to Manchester in the UK for the finals in October.
1 lap to go. Nicol is having to ride a defensive line around the inside, excuse me. Becker is on the outside, he's cleared off. Larty, will he be able to get up the inside? No, I don't think so. Should be 7 points to Team USA.
Yes, and down to the line, Larty's having a go. Oh, I think Nicol just about held on. Good effort.
That is very exciting. Now, last year it was done in Poland. This year it's going to be in Denmark. And gosh, I mean, everybody in the world is going to be there.
Yeah, there's 15 countries and there's 4 events over 4 days. Part of our future vision of Team USA, the immediate thing in front of us is the Speedway of Nations. We were 1 race away from the final last year. So the natural plan is to make the final this year. And since I knew I was going to be fully in charge, 90% of the attention has gone on to that because we only had about 2.5 months to, you know, bring all the pieces in place. And then, you know, but moving forward, there's kind of bigger and better plans for Team USA than perhaps have been there for quite some time.
Well, you've got a good lineup there. You've got Luke Becker, Brock Nicol, Ricky Wells, Dillon Ruml, and Max Ruml. And that's a good lineup of riders. I know that Luke and Brock have been having a great time there in their second season back after the pandemic. But Dillon, he's really coming around too. And Ricky, he's been there for a while, so he's pretty settled in. Max, he's going to really need to, I mean, he went to the qualifiers and he's going to really bring his game. I know he's been running really well out here, but you've got a good team, well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean, only 3 of these will be racing on the 27th, but it's fair to say that any of these 5 on their day, and even guys that weren't quite there this year, like Gino, any of those guys do have the ability to contribute. And, you know, once this competition's done, then the real hard work starts because we plan to make Team USA a 12-month year-round entity versus something that just appears once a year and does 1 competition and then seems to drift away while we all go and do our own separate race programs. Right.
And so tell us a little bit about some of the ideas you have for Team USA for 2022.
Well, it's going to be really 2022 into 2023. I mean, the first thing that's obvious is the past 2 team managers were FIM championship medal winners. And, you know, and I'm not, and I won't ever be as far as a rider. So obviously there's a whole game plan and a whole range of things that are going to be happening. And it isn't going to be a one-man show. I'm going to be bringing on board some good people to help and basically run some of the various projects. But some of the things that we intend to do, firstly, we want to bring back a Speedway Academy with the purpose of getting primarily junior riders into the sport, but also adult riders. You know, like people coming out of motocross is the obvious place to look. And with the way Kern County Raceway is set up and its availability, that track is going to be the home of Team USA, and it's going to be the hub for lots of activities.
Well, we all know support is very important. And why don't you go ahead and name some of the sponsors and support that you've gotten so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a wide range of sponsors, and it's a combination of corporate sponsors and crowdfunding. And, you know, both combined really help. But such names are Stava Accountancy, who are our lead sponsor. They're out of England. We have Crossbones and Beards. GC Race Products, who are going to provide the team with some fantastic team gear. Johnny Klaus Racing, Nick Holbein Racing. Paul Hitchcock and the Bakersfield Bandits. Lawrence McNutt and Team SOS. Kern County Raceway of Bakersfield. Warnock Racing and Bill Warnock, they've been amazing. TFB 220 Racing, that's Tom Bryant, and Reese Todd Racing. JC Pro, that are making our race suits. Martin Brothers Racing. And on top of that list, we have some late entries of, we have Bradley Moore, who's one of our track crew at KCRP. Dan Eddy, who's one of our track crew everywhere we go. Rick Schaefer, Raymond Carr, and a gentleman out of England, David Graveling, who is putting together a group to open up Eastbourne Speedway next year. And he saw what we're doing and he's in support. So we've just got help from all over the place. And the only reason people help is because they hear what we're doing and they understandably get quite excited. So they're excited, I'm excited, and they give us great help.
Well, that is wonderful, and I want to, on behalf of all of XSRA and you, thank all of those people for being a part of American Speedway as you work to rebuild it. I want to thank you very much for joining me here, and I want to wish you all the luck in Denmark. I know we'll be watching wherever we can, and maybe I'll be able to put some of that information up for everybody to see later on as well. But thank you very much, Steve, for joining us here on Speedway Chat Live, and good luck.
Thanks. We're looking forward to it. And most importantly, the riders involved are really, really fired up. You have no idea how badly they want to make this final. So it's all about on the day. There's some very tough competition, but you can guarantee that we'll give everything we have.
Yes, you will. All right. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
There you have it. That was Steve Evans, recorded on Saturday. Right now, he is in England, and I saw this on his post where he did see the pickle, Dillon Ruml, overseas racing, and he says he's much improved. Right here it says, got to... I'll do Steve voice. He's going to hate me for this. Got to see Dillon Ruml race today in UK. Wow, this guy's really improved so much. He knows exactly what he's doing to work into becoming even better. Fantastic attitude as he has done such. He's thriving at riding tonight. Yeah, sorry, Steve. That was my English accent. But yes, I did get a chance to talk to the pickle. He is really having a good time over there. So let's go to that interview right now. I see Max is in the room. I got Lewis in the room. They're waiting for us. But let's go to that. Let's go to that interview with the pickle right now. Dillon Ruml. My special guest from England, Dillon Ruml. Back to Speedway Chat Live. He's a Southern California racer, and he's 23 years old. As you may know, Dillon grew up here racing with his brother Max through the 250 juniors and then on to the big boys in the 500s. He is a top-ranked racer here, folks. He's a former 2018 California State champion, plus many other first-place finishes. Right now, he is racing in England for the Oxford Cheetahs. They've been reformed. This year, they closed around 2009, and the season restarted with them back on the British Speedway racing circuit. He did return home in 2021 after racing with the Plymouth Gladiators, and it was great to see him racing out at Paris and Kern County Raceway, where he did win a few heats. It was great to see him out there, but in order to be a top speedway racer, you've got to go to the big leagues, which are overseas in England, and then get in that Speedway GP circuit like everybody has done since Bruce Penhall. So let's welcome Dillon Ruml. Hey, Dillon, how are you?
Not too bad. How are we doing?
Good to see you. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you for joining us here on Speedway Chat Live from all the way on the other side of England. Hey, just before we start, it looks like it's a little sunny over there. What kind of weather are you getting? Anything like California, making you feel like you're at home?
Yeah. No, the last couple of days have been really nice. I think today it was 92. Yesterday it was about 88. I think tomorrow it's supposed to be quite hot. I think it's supposed to get up to maybe 101 or 102. So not the best weather to go racing in, but I'm not complaining.
Hey, let me just say that for the Nationals round 1 out there in Bakersfield, when the races started, it was 105 degrees on the track. You could 101, no problem for you over there. It's like home.
Yeah, it's funny, when it's too cold here, you don't really, it's almost too cold to ride, and it's tough to get the blood flowing and all that. Then it gets too hot, you don't want to ride. So I'm kind of stuck on if maybe it's just the riding that I don't like or something.
Well, I'm sure you're having a good time over there. Tell us what are you doing there in Oxford? I mean, what's it like racing for such a legendary team that goes all the way back to like 1939 before World War II? I'm sure there's a lot of rich history there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love it. I love the track. I love the management. Everybody, all the fans are super cool. It's a real rad experience to be riding for them. Obviously, they do have a rich history, and I think with the revival of them, as it's brought quite a few fans, that used to come back in the day, when they were running before they had gotten shut down. So
right.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty cool to see them all, and I mean, riding for the team is a great experience. Get along with all the boys quite well, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. So the fans, have they taken to you pretty well? They like seeing a Yank back on the track.
Yeah. No, the fans are super supportive. I think, it's really just kind of, as long as you're going out there and you're giving your best effort, I think most of the fans and almost everybody sees that. So they're really cool. I've met quite a few fans, even if I, after the meeting, especially if I have a good meeting or something, I might go up to the bar and maybe have a beer or something after and just chat with fans.
Very good.
So I think it's a cool thing for them to be able to, and me as well, to go up and meet some of the people that are, working throughout the week and spending their money to come out and watch us race.
Right. They get a chance to see you and meet you without your helmet on and stuff. So they get a chance to maybe even stop you in the streets to say hello. Does that happen?
Yeah, no, it definitely helps to kind of, add a face to the name. I think it's good for the fans, and it's also good for us as well.
Yeah, that's great. I often feel that way. I know you guys when you have your helmets and your leathers on, but then when you take it off, you could walk right past me and I wouldn't even know it was you. And I think putting a face to your name and everything is very important. So you say you're gelling over there and you're having a good time. What have been some of your greatest challenges, riding over there at this point?
I think mainly it's mainly just the learning curve. I mean, it's learning the changes to make on the track, and at what tracks. For Oxford, obviously there's, I think coming into it at the start of this year, it was pretty tough because, it was a new track to everybody. So a lot of the riders, we didn't have much of a home track advantage or anything like that. It's taken this year to kind of develop that. So that was a bit tough, and I think it's been tough for all the boys as well. But, I think we've acclimated quite well. And, I mean, that, and, I've had a lot of, I've talked with, guys like Troy and Scott and Jason, and all of them on kind of what changes to make on the bike. And kind of when to do it for what track conditions, and all things accordingly. And I think that's been a big help, having them in the corner and being able to kind of at least point me in the right direction.
Right. I was going to ask about that. Who are some of those legends over there that have lent some of their experience and expertise to you? Troy Batchelor and Scott Nichols, they're big names, and it's like racing against some of the veterans over here. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's funny because I think going into this year, I'm teamed up with guys like Troy and Scott, and I have Jason Crump as a team manager, and it's funny because they're guys that that I think all three of them are former GP riders, so it's a bit surreal. I was kind of at the beginning, it was a bit tough to do that because it's like I'm kind of looking at them as like almost like these big entities that I'm almost kind of nervous to ask, and I don't want to bug or
you didn't want to
like that.
You didn't want to fanboy it too much.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny, but now I've kind of talked to them quite a bit, and I think we've all gotten pretty comfortable, chatting with each other and all that. So it's been a cool experience.
Well, I understand that because I fanboy around you guys all the time. Even though you're younger than me, I totally am impressed by what you do on the track, and I've never done it. So I have utmost respect for what you guys do, but you're still regular people and you are approachable, and that's good that those guys are speaking with you and helping you out, because it's only better for the team as well.
Yeah, no, we try to be. I think that's an important thing as well, especially, being somewhere like back home. You don't, you need guys that, kind of have that ability to be able to talk to fans and, get people interested in the sport. I think it's one thing to be able to get people to come out and watch the races, but really you want them to have a reason to come back as well.
Exactly. Well, I just want to also congratulate you for being named to the Speedway Team USA Speedway team, and for this year's Speedway of Nations. I think it's a great honor for you.
Yeah, no, it's super cool to be named in that. I think, I remember a few years back, I'd done the Speedway World Cup, and that was a huge experience for me. It definitely opened my eyes to, what the sport actually is, and, the level that you need to perform at to be even competitive amongst the top riders, let alone, start beating them and be a top dog in it. So yeah, any chance I get to, race for my country and put the stars and stripes on the chest is, it's a good time for me.
Well, I know a lot of people are looking forward to it, but I would probably imagine that you've been running on the bigger tracks over there. So when you get to the Speedway of Nations, that bigger track is not going to be something that you've come over from the smaller tracks in America to then race on something big, and it's all sort of new to you.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I think I've told people this before, on a few different occasions, that, when you race in the States and then you come here, it's almost not fair to even call it the same sport. It's definitely a tough thing. I mean, you ride the smaller tracks, they could be quite a bit more technical, and you ride them quite a bit different. So when you come over here and you're having to ride the bigger tracks, as for me, I've kind of had to get rid of a lot of the bad habits that I developed riding on small tracks, like overturning, and pretty much, I mean, everything that you do on a small track nearly is almost everything that you want to avoid doing on a bigger track, overturning, kind of making big drastic movements on the bike, and, etc. So
well,
it's definitely a better thing to be already over here and, on the bigger tracks.
Yeah. I just saw a video of Luke against Troy Batchelor and a couple other racers, and it's that close-in racing, I think, that you get a good experience over here, where you can get some of that confidence in order to get really close and pass people.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's definitely huge, especially, you know, when you're racing these guys that are, you know, bigger names, I think it could get in your head as well. You know, when you're kind of being back home, you're kind of racing the same people every week, you know, so you kind of get a kind of mental confidence on that. But when you transition over here, you know, it could be a little bit startling at first. But yeah, I think as long as, I mean, for me, myself, most of the time, you know, I don't even really know who I'm racing against when I'm over here. You know, I think I've even had meetings or heats where I raced against somebody like Brock, you know, and
Oh, yes.
came out of the race, and I talked to him after and being like, you know, kind of telling me what he was doing in the heat. And I was sitting there like, man, like we raced together.
Yeah. How is that meeting up against, you know, one of the guys that you've grown up with, and you're in this big leagues, and now you're on different teams? How is that?
Well, I mean, it's like I said, I don't really pay much attention to it. You know, I think now I just pay attention to kind of when I'm up, you know, and what gate I'm in, what helmet color. You know, our team manager, Pete, I think I think it's pretty funny because every time, you know, I try to list it in my program so that way I know which races I'm in, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. I try not to pay too much attention to it.
Yeah. There's a lot of mental stuff there. So even if you thought, oh no, it's Brock, you know, you don't want to play with your head like that.
Yeah, no. And I mean, to be honest, like me and Brock are good buddies, but
Yeah.
you know, at the same time, you know, I'm never really thinking like if I go out for a race, and I'm sure he's not either, you know, like, oh, this is Brock or this is Dillon. I think it's more or less, you know, we're both there for the same thing. You know, we're both there to try to win. I mean, so I mean, if he's in my way, then I have to do what I can to beat him.
Yeah,
And I think
that's right. You definitely do.
vice.
Speaking of that type of schedule, how was your schedule? I understand that Oxford has a match tomorrow on July 19th.
Yeah, no, we'll be the schedule this year has been quite good. It's been pretty spread out as well, you know, so I haven't really had too much time off the bike, which is good. And yeah, we do have a meeting tomorrow, and I believe Wednesday, I believe at Birmingham. I wouldn't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So that'll be a good time. It's unfortunate that it's going to be, or tomorrow will probably be the hottest day of the year, but
Yeah, but you can handle it. You're Californian.
yeah, well, unfortunately, I've been over here for so long now. I'm getting the heat. It's almost like I forgot what it's like to be in this hot weather.
I bet. Oh man. Well, good luck on that one. Any last words? How can people stay in contact with you? I know you've got some social media. Let everybody know how they can contact you, talk to you, ask you how you are, maybe even donate to you.
Yeah, so I mean, pretty much you can get a hold of me on Instagram. Instagram's Dillon Ruml. Facebook, Dillon Ruml. You could go and check out my Facebook page, which is, I believe, Dillon Ruml Racing, and you know that'll show pretty much nearly all my results for all my meetings. You know, and I think you know, after this I'll go ahead and share it as well, so that way if people look up my name on Facebook, you know, they'll see that I shared that, so then it'll kind of link them to that.
Very good.
And yeah, and just pretty much just any social media, as long as you search in my name, I'm sure that you'll find something.
Okay. And the food is agreeing with you? You're okay?
Yeah, it's not like American cuisine, but no, I've learned to like it. I've learned, you know, it's funny. My first year, I didn't really tend to it too much, but now I think I've been a bit more acclimated, and you know, I don't mind a kebab or a good Indian food or anything like that anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, salt and pepper kind of fixes everything, and we'll keep the tacos for you over here when you return and get a nice taco plate.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to be home and eat some proper Mexican food.
It's very good. Very good. Well, you know, I'm going to be getting Max and Lewis on here in a little bit for a live interview, and I'm sure you're excited. Max is going to be in the California State Championship this Saturday. Anything you want to say to him?
He's lucky I'm not there.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Dillon, for joining us on Speedway Chat Live. It's great to talk to you. Good luck with your match tomorrow, the rest of the week, and for the rest of the season. And maybe we can talk again before you come back home before the end of the year.
Yep. No, sounds good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right. All right. There you have it, Dillon Ruml. Hey, let's give him some horns. Yeah, Dillon Ruml racing over there with the Cheetahs. Unfortunately, they did lose today. The Birmingham Bums. I don't know what they call them, but they lost to Birmingham. I think the score was 47-44, very close. I think the Birmingham pulled it out at the last race, but that's racing, folks, and it was great to have him on the chat. So thank you, Dillon. Now that brings me to our featured guest right here. I'm going to bring him in. It is Lewis. Oh, let me see here. Lewis Hughes. And I had Max there. I'm sorry. I probably took a little bit too long. Max, if you're listening, please get on again. Lewis Hughes has been he's put himself together a fine team. He's the manager of his own team. And his Top Gun racer is Mad Max Ruml. And I just want to welcome you to the chat show. Hi, Lewis.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining. Sorry, Max, if you're out there, try to jump back in. So, Lewis, I wanted to bring you on to talk about team management and what it takes, what the state of Speedway is at this point, and where you plan to go in the future. But let me just get, if people don't know you very well, let's just ask you a question. How did you get interested in the sport of Speedway?
Man, I got involved in Speedway. Obviously, I knew Billy Hamill. We went to school together, in high school, and I actually got involved in Speedway in 2012. I took an academy from Billy Hamill in San Bernardino, and I liked it. So I went out and bought a bike and started racing, 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long time ago. That's what is that? 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So you got on the bike and you raced, and that was the way you got hooked into it.
Yeah, actually, I raced a few seasons. I did okay, but I wasn't really that fast. So I kind of moved on to some other things, and actually started working for a guy named Jeff Arnold at Joker Machine, helping him out with Billy Hamill as a mechanic.
And so that's how you got into the mechanic aspect of it. So what do you do for a living?
Oh, I own my own company. I'm a consultant for fluorescent lighting.
Oh, okay.
I travel around the United States or out of the country and tell people about their fluorescent lights.
Oh, very good. Well, that's very far from mechanicking on a speedway bike.
Yeah.
What do you tell your family and friends about the sport when they ask you about it?
Wow, it's an awesome sport. I mean, it's definitely exciting. And I just try to get more people involved. My family, they're not really big on it. They've been to some races, but they support me 100% on what I'm doing, even though they don't go to the races very much. My friends, pretty much all my friends are in Speedway, for the most part. So right. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a bummer that it's such a small group of people that actually know that this sport still exists. When you're wearing a Speedway shirt, does that draw any attention to you, or that ask you questions?
Sometimes it does, but it's just kind of one of those things. Obviously, we all know in America, it's not a very big sport, or well-known sport, I should say, to, I guess, maybe this generation of people be a little bit different if you were in 70s and 80s, I guess, when you were talking, people that grew up with the sport, so. Right.
I grew up with it in the 80s and fell off and went and did other things. And after I come back to the country, I was glad to hear that it's still running.
Yeah, right.
That's how I got involved in about 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So now you're a team owner, and so what and you're everything else. So tell me, what kind of activities are you involved with your team?
Basically everything other than riding. that's as far as, building the bikes, deciding, what engines to buy and what parts to use, and the whole design part of it, dealing with sponsors and generating revenue, working with the promoters, etc. As far as suit designs, ordering all that, designing the suits and arranging logos, pretty much everything but riding. That's what I do.
Right. And that's a full-time job in itself.
It is.
Yeah. So there are other team owners out there that I know of, the Scopolettis, with Billy Gennaro, in MXRC, you had the RC out there with his team. What are some of the other teams? Have you learned or spoke to some of those team owners and managers about what they do, and has that helped you?
To be honest, I haven't spoke to any of them about how they run their operation. For me, everything is, comes from me, and kind of just the ideas and the direction I want to go in as far as that. I wouldn't say, I've learned a lot from other people in other countries, traveling to Europe and to Poland and to England, and kind of seeing how things are ran, and some of the guys on how they race and what their operation looks like. So definitely try to mimic some of that stuff that I've learned overseas, for sure.
Okay. Well, your racer's been kicking butt over there, and his engines are top notch. Tell me about your engines. You said that you get them serviced and stuff overseas and such.
I do. I use an engine builder called Ashtec. He's based in Poland, Ashley Holloway. He's a really awesome guy. He's English, based in Poland. And he's building engines for guys like, Ty Wolfington, Brady Kurtz, plenty of GP guys in the past, Jason Doyle's, just so many. There's so many guys that he works for or uses his engines. There's just too many to name. Robert Lambert, Dan Bewley, etc. Right? These are guys that all use his motors. And I've developed a really good relationship with them, as far as, personal friends as well, and business, and doing business. But I travel to Poland every year to meet him. I stay with him. We hang out for 4 or 5 days together, and he just teaches me a lot, and he educates me, and it's awesome. Same with a guy named Carl Bloomfeld. Same thing. He was an engine tuner in England and Europe for Tony Rickardson, and worked for so many guys. Billy Hamill, he worked for Billy Hamill, So I have a few guys that I rely on that help me a lot.
Well, that totally helps you out. But I see you in the pit with Max, and you're always cranking on that bike, doing something to it.
Yeah, you have to. You got to stay on top of it, right? It's not easy. It's not easy, and you just got to make sure everything's right. You can't have any mistakes and failures, and unfortunately chains coming off, stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen that happen to you guys.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Yeah, it does happen, right? And it sucks. So you just got to make sure you're on top of everything all the time. You got to constantly be focused on it.
Yeah, but as we spoke about in the past, your rider, all he has to do is worry about racing, right? He doesn't have to worry about, like some of the other guys, I see them in their tents, they're working on their bikes by themselves, or they're doing a little bit of setup. So your racer, he gets to just concentrate on racing alone, sort of like a NASCAR or F1 or anything like that.
Yeah, no, 100%, right? His whole focus is riding only, right? That's the way I'd like it. That's the way I set it up, right? He doesn't have to worry about anything other than riding. That's his job, is to win races and do the best he can. And that's all I need him to do. I'll do everything else myself. It's just a really good system that works good for us, right? If he can just focus on that one thing, then there's no issues, right? So
right.
At this point, over the last couple of years, it's worked out pretty well for us, right? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work for somebody else, but it works 100% for us.
Well, he is the national champ.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that is talent. I know a lot of it is talent. You just can't get on that bike and beat Billy Gennaro or Gino Manzarres without the talent. And I know Max has been racing since very young, him and Dillon, but mechanical issues are always going to be an issue. And that bike is always, one day you think you have it set up, the next day it needs to be tweaked, right?
Yeah, man. It's like golf. Awesome days of golf and some real shitty days, right? You know?
Right. So let me ask you about some of the other mechanics out there. I know you're you know a lot of these guys and stuff, you know, Mark Carpenter, what's his name is escaping me right now. But you know, there's other guys out there that are doing almost similar stuff to you, right? I mean, I don't think everybody's rebuilding engines.
No, I mean, I don't know, right, how they're working out, but I mean, yeah, as far as other mechanics, you know, guys like Mark Carpenter, I learned a lot from Mark Carpenter. Me and Mark Carpenter worked together for a few years, you know, on my team, you know, which was awesome. He's a really knowledgeable person about Speedway. You know, he spent some seasons in England with Gino, you know, living there, and obviously he's traveled with some World Cup teams and stuff, and he's a guy that has a lot of knowledge about being a good mechanic. You know, he's been there, and you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's you guys are always learning from each other. I see that you know, some guys from other pits or might have an issue, and you might walk over there and talk to them. I've seen other guys walk over to other pits, and it's almost like, you know, helping hand from everybody. Well,
yeah, right. You want to, you know, you want to help when you can, right? You know, it's like you don't want to help the guy win the race, but if he's having a bad time, you know, obviously you want to pitch in, and you know,
you want to have some competition there. You want to
100%. Yeah.
I've seen guys like some of these younger guys. Let's just throw Buck Blair out there, one of my favorite racers for his generation. I saw him at the Nationals, and I know he's been working on engines. He's told me he's been working on engines and such, and he's learned from some guys over in England himself. But his support for Randy DeFrancisco in the Nationals really helped Randy out a lot. And then there's other guys out there like Reese Todd, who, you know, the famous Todd brothers who are coming up. They've been in there for a couple, 3 years during the COVID, and they've really risen up. But Reese has taken in and gotten involved in repairing engines, tinkering around with them. So it's really good to see a new younger generation coming in to help out with racers themselves, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. This is what you need. You know, you need more people getting involved in different ways, right? You know, guys like Buck, you know, full of knowledge, right? Been around a long time. You know, he has some good trade secrets, or some good, you know, I mean, he knows what's right and what's wrong, you know, so it's good. And there's other guys like Ray Schmidt, been around a long time.
Ray, that's who, yeah. Ray is a super nice guy, and he works with Austin Navarro, and very, very knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But it's like that, because I've seen, you know, like people like Steve Martin and Keith Lightcap. They're Speedway dads. They're doing the best they can, but it always helps to have somebody with a little bit more knowledge come on in there.
Hey, and there's another guy that's been around a long time, Robert, that works with that.
Oh, yes.
You know, look at how around. I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing around a bike, and he has a lot of knowledge about Speedway and that as well. So definitely need more guys like them.
Robert, he works with Aaron Fox, and they got a really good team there. They're really tight, which gives you guys a lot of competition.
Yeah, you know, right. It's what you want. You always want competition. You always want to race the best, right? You know,
right. It's the only way to be. I mean, hate everybody to maybe sandbag it, and then you just win because for whatever. But you know, I asked you earlier about the state of Speedway, you know, and how small it is. But you know, Steve Evans has some plans to try to bring some Speedway academies into California. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, it's awesome, right? You know, obviously you need more people like him doing that. You know, there's another guy that puts in a lot of work that a lot of people don't know is Hank Holbein in Northern California. Hank is doing a lot of work behind the scenes, bringing in some junior riders, at least 4 or 5 new junior riders that have been coming through that, you know, that he's helping along. A few are motocross, that race motocross that he has some relationships with. So, yeah, you know, the stuff that Steve wants to do and what Hank is doing. And I'm sure there was another guy, Patrick Bedford, was trying to do a little bit with some junior stuff in Tennessee.
Yes.
You know, it didn't work out too much for him, but he was definitely making a good effort to do that.
I think he's gonna still try. I know he's a flat tracker and stuff, but he really likes Speedway racing. Pat Bedford out there in Tennessee.
Yeah, he's a guy, man. He's a great supporter. You know, I'm fortunate that he supports my program, but also he gives back to Speedway. You know, and he doesn't see a lot of it, obviously, being in Tennessee, you know?
Right. Well, what do you think if some of those academies went on the road, maybe to the East Coast, where Jason Bonsignor is, and even back to Tennessee where Pat Bedford is, to hold some of these clinics like we're seeing happening in Poland for the Speedway Grand Prix racers?
Well, it'd be great. You know, I know Patrick has done that in the past. You know, Billy Hamill's traveled back there, and they've given some academies to some flat track racers back there. You know, that happened, I believe, twice. And then it kind of fizzled out a little bit. But I think those guys in New York, there's another guy in New York. I don't think it's Jason, but that owns a couple of junior bikes that he's working with some kids, you know, from what I was told. I don't know that firsthand. I was definitely told that by Patrick. But
well, I did see some junior riders out there in New York and on the Facebook, on the social media. So it would be great to grow a new generation of racers. I mean, you mentioned Hank Holbein. Hey, Hank, if you're listening, I definitely would like to get you in the podcast to talk about the junior program, because that's where the future of Speedway is. I mean, I know, you know, we got our adults and stuff, but that's where what the kids want to aspire to is to be like Max, you know?
Well, hopefully, right? Hopefully, you know, with Discovery and that, you know, I hope they can do a lot more, or bring, as they say, they want to work in American Speedway as well. So let's hope in 2023 something can happen from that.
Yeah. Well, you know, you're just going to have to keep going, and hopefully with what I put out, there can be a little bit more interest in some of these youth. You know, I put that on YouTube, and there's almost 3,000 views for the youth. You know, and you know, and then I put something out for a Division III racers. Guys are like, oh, you want to race in Speedway? And I'm looking at motocross guys and saying, you know, we could peel away some guys that have gotten injured too much on doing triples and stuff, and they can do circles. And then that young Vanderham rider, I think he's hooked.
Yeah, awesome, right? You need it.
Yeah. I mean, so all he's got to do is be consistent and come up, and maybe he can get himself up to Division I and within the year or by next season.
Well, I've seen him ride a few times, and I would assume by the end of the season he'll be ready to move up for sure.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about what's going on over there with the Speedway GP? They do want to come. They do want to be here and come to the United States and get a following. What do you think about that?
Well, that would be awesome if they can make that happen. I've been fortunate enough to be. I've seen a lot of GP races that I travel to Poland every year to see. Where they're racing, where Alex and Wilbur were at. Every year I go back there to watch the GP race, and it's nothing. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it because it's awesome. You know,
I definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I can only keep my fingers crossed that they could bring a GP race to America, because it would be something for a lot of fans to see, for
Yeah,
sure.
that hasn't happened since what, 1981 with Bruce Benhall?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That was way before my time, but
yeah, I was still in high school at that time. But that's what got me hooked, was Bruce Benhall on Any Sunday too. And you know, I thought that Speedway was the best racing in the world. Yeah, 1982, Eddie Castro puts there. Let me see.
Right,
Eddie Castro put 1982 because he was there. But yeah, hey, I want to congratulate you on you and your team, your racer, for the #1 win out there at the Nationals.
Right.
Yeah, that was a hot night, right?
It was definitely a hot night, you know, and fuck, man, we had one failure that kind of just ruined everything to a point, right? But we had we had an awesome recovery. You know, we had an issue with a bike where the chain came off and kind of messed a few things up. So that was in our semi race, and in the final, in the main event, we went out on a different bike that Max hadn't ridden all night. It was just sitting there. So he did an awesome win in the race with a bike that he hadn't ridden all night. So it was definitely a good recovery for him and me, you know, and I tell you, man, it's all about the pilot. The pilot makes everything happen, you know, and he's an awesome racer, and he can adapt to anything. There's just no stress, right? You know?
Well, what you're providing for him is a less stressful environment, because of all he has to do is worry about getting on the bike and racing. And I did, that semi where he broke that chain and went sliding out. Geez, that was ruined his really good his scores overall. But anybody who wants to see that, you can get it on video on demand on xsra.tv. If you haven't seen it, Lewis, you were there, but you can relive the magic.
Exactly.
But yeah,
obviously it just goes to show you, you know, he just adapting, right? You can just adapt, and we can overcome anything, you know, and I try to stress that to him all the time. Doesn't matter what the situation is. There's no panic at all. You know, we can adapt to any situation, or at least try to, you know, and I try extremely hard to make sure that those bikes are pretty much identical for as much as possible, right? Because the bikes and the way the bike is set up and everything is identical. The only difference is all the engines are completely different. You know, I own quite a few engines, and they're all set up differently than each other, but the bike itself, the clutch, etc., it's all 100% the same as the other bike. So it's definitely something we strive to do, to make sure in situations like that it's basically the same bike you've been riding for the most part.
Well, your rider right there standing next to Howie for Raz Video. He's very, very talented, and everybody can see Max out there racing at the 45th the 45th California State Championship, of which he is the right now the 2019 reigning champion.
Yeah, no, absolutely, right. That's
is that cup?
That's this one right here, 2019. You know,
let's see that.
That was an honor for us. So we're looking to bring home the trophy again this time. You know, it won't be easy, but
it's not going to be easy. I mean, Slater he's a monkey wrench right now. He's putting in a lot of effort out there, but Gino is hot. Austin is still hot. Aaron is hot. Aaron's getting some great starts. Bobby Schwartz is going to be there, and that's going to be great. But that Billy Gennaro, you know, that race, I saw that race. I wasn't at the track that night, but I think everybody on social media has seen that final on the 17th out there, where Billy thought he had it won, and Max from the outside got him, right?
Yeah, man, that was an awesome race, to tell you the truth. It worked out really well for us, you know, obviously, you know, and it just goes to show you, you just got to keep working hard. Just keep going.
Even though I wasn't there, I could hear Billy say, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Again, Max is a great rider, and he
certainly is.
It's 100%. It's all about motivation and determination, right? That's it. Motivation, right. Determination, and that's all we focus on that a lot, and a lot of manifesting as well, right? And shit just happens.
Just thinking it. Yeah. Do you work with Max on a mental aspect of that, or does he just have it inside himself?
Right. We're both kind of the same a little bit in that, we know what we want, and all we want to do is win. So you got to figure out how to do that. And whichever way that happens, it fucking happens. Right. And
Good. Yeah. Well, everybody can see Max Ruml run with Lewis's team at this Saturday out at Industry Hills. It's going to be a great event. I'll be out there with the camera, and hopefully I can put together a couple reports. If you didn't go or you weren't able to go and you live very, very far away, go and check out the YouTube channel, which I want you to subscribe to. Subscribe to that YouTube channel so you can see all the uploads. And I want to thank you, Lewis, very much for joining us on the chat show. Thank you very much, and good luck. Stick around, Lewis. I'm going to be playing the first issue of As the Sprocket Turns with Eddie Castro. Let's check this out. Check this out.
Cool.
As the Sprocket Turns. Well, hey, folks, we're here at the Sprocket Turns, and Ken asked me to give you a story about when I was at Workington with Steve Evans' Dream Team in 2011. We were kicking butt on the English team over there at Workington, and one of their guys and I were running down the back straightaway, and he fell off, and I was going into turn 3, and he fell off his bike and launched his bike at me as I was already committed in the turn. It took me off the bike. I hit the wall. I was KO'd for a little bit. I got back up. My bike was totaled. So Sean McConnell lent me his bike that he had from Hagen, and Doug Nickel and him were both sharing that bike because something happened to Doug Nickel's bike earlier. So 3 of us were tag teaming that bike. Well, I got back up and rode the restart, won that race, and then we won the next race. Doug had won a race. Sean had won a race. We were catching up on points. We were going to win the meeting, and it got called for curfew. And yeah, that was a heck of a deal. But I had 2 busted ribs. I probably had a spiral fracture on my leg. My leg was purple from my hip to my knee for weeks. And that's my story. I tell you, it was something else. It was a heck of a time, and they called it for curfew. They pulled the rug out from under us. And that's my story as a Sprocket Turns, 2011, out at Workington, overseas with Steve Evans' Dream Team. You had to be there. All right. Well, hope to hear more. See you later.
All right. Hey, that's just one story that Eddie Castro can tell. He's got a million of them, folks. He's got a million of them. We'll bring Eddie back for As the Sprocket Turns. I'm sure Max has his share of stories. I'm sure you, Lewis, have your share of stories. And maybe we'll be able to get a lot of other stories on the chat show, because there's a million of them. I know that Doug Nickel, he has got a bunch of them too. Every time I see him, he's going to say, hey, did I tell you about this time? Hey, did you hear about this? So there is a heck of a lot going on. All right, everybody, make sure you can get out to Industry Hills Speedway this Saturday on the 23rd for the 45th California State Speedway Championship. Thank you for joining me, Lewis. Thank you, everybody. Steve Evans for being on the for doing the chat. And Dillon Ruml, gosh, it was so nice to talk to him. I got to try and get Brock and as well as Luke on for one of these things, because I think everybody, they should hear from all these guys. They're overseas doing America's work, right? That's where it's at. All right. So that's all I have for you. I'm going to remove you, Lewis. I'll see you later.
Right on, man.
All right. See you Saturday. All right. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining me here on Speedway Chat Live. This is episode 8. I had a little bit of technical issues. I thought they would run better, but hey, it's just, it'll all work out in the edit. Oh, wait a minute. This is live. I'll also have some more on the Sprocket turns with Eddie Castro next time. So until then, what does Eddie say? Keep the rubber side down. Oh, I don't know. He says something, right, Eddie? Anyway, well, he's going to play us out right here.
Hi, this is Eddie Castro, number 14 SoCal Racer. This is XSRA Speedway TV. Run it!